Yeah, and I think the other thing you touched on that I like, that I'm curious if there's any sort of downside to, is the loyalty. I mean, one thing we've seen, and I think especially with Lyft, they've got a lot of veteran drivers. You know, people have been with the company for years, done thousands or tens of thousands of trips. I know, you know, we teased doing this interview, and we got a lot of feedback from our audience. They had a lot of good questions. I won't hit you with all of them, but I think one of the topics that I saw that a lot of questions around was sort of this concept of loyalty. Right? Like if I'm a top driver for Lyft, whether that's rating, rides, you know, one of those types of metrics, like what is Lyft giving me that, you know, they're not giving some brand new driver off the street? Like, shouldn't I be getting some sort of higher pay? Or it sounds like, you know, priority pickup. Like that seems like a good thing to me.
Yeah, priority pickup is a perfect example of this. I'm super excited that's coming back for platinum drivers. It really is what I consider to be, what I've heard from drivers, the most important. It addresses higher earnings. So I definitely think priority pickup does that. The other thing we're excited about, maybe sharing some news that I don't think has been shared, I could be wrong, but is we want to give all Lyft drivers Lyft Pink, which is our membership program.
Got it.
And so treating the driver community as, you know, as a community where, hey, we have this membership program. It costs $9.99 a month, but we're going to give that to you because you're helping us power this membership community, and you're a big part of it. I think creates the right kind of incentive and just kind of loyalty more broadly for the brand. So I'm excited about that. And there's more we can do. I think, you know, we've definitely heard feedback that, you know, these incentives feel random, and if I'm with the community for a long time, why aren't I getting more longer term incentives? And so I think there's a lot more we can and need to do, and we're listening.
So the one thing that kind of stands out to me in all of this is like a lot of what I've heard so far sounds pretty good, sounds pretty positive, but it's also like more confusing than it used to be, right? Like back in the day when I was driving for Lyft, it was just you got paid more per mile and more per minute, and there weren't as many bonuses and incentives and long pickups and this and that. I'm curious, you know, how you think about balancing kind of simplicity with, you know, all the things that drivers want, but at the same time, right, if you give drivers the complete ability to pick every trip they want, maybe they might abuse it too much, right? So how do you kind of balance the two?
Well, on simplicity, I think what's super exciting about upfront pay is that, and we're not there yet, and we won't be there, you know, when it's rolled out, you know, through the end of the year to every market, but over the next year or two, I think we can keep building more of these complex incentives just right into upfront pay. So that it's not about, you know, thinking about streaks and thinking about all these different things. It's all going to be represented in upfront pay. And basically what that is like, hey, like Lyft needs to pay the right amount for the right ride at the right time, and we're letting drivers choose. So I do think over time upfront pay has the ability to simplify everything. In terms of the abuse, like we need to design with trust. And you need to, basically, if we're seeing people not want a ride, like I said before, that means that we need to pay more for that ride. And so that's the kind of principle we're designing towards. Of course, if someone was, you know, not accepting anything, you know, you may need to look at it, but we're not really, like, that's not the focus of how we're designing this product. We're thinking, how can we design it so that it works? Like we expect drivers want trips that pay them well.
Got it. And I mean, I'm trying to think if there's any other products that still have, you know, maybe that opportunity to, you know, give drivers the opt-in. Like shared rides, I think, is like the first one that comes to mind, where drivers were really never a fan, in my opinion, of shared. I think a lot of surveys, there was actually, you know, pretty negative feedback around shared rides, and you were kind of forced to take them. There were times if you're, you know, on more of a trip-based bonus where you can rack up a bunch of short trips, then they're nice. But, you know, it's like kind of like double the work for about the same, maybe less, maybe more kind of pay. Are there products like shared rides or others that are still kind of forced that maybe might be switching to, you know, more of an opt-in? Or are you guys looking at that in the future?
Not currently looking at making that opt-in. I think there are certain things that, you know, we need to be opinionated on, that when the marketplace works well, when the marketplace grows, that means there are more driving opportunities and driver earnings opportunities. And so don't want to divide up the kind of opportunities too much. But that said, again, if we provide all the information up front, we should give
I guess
drivers
that's sort
more
of the
choice.
way to
Yeah.
technically, you may not have a button in your app that you can opt out, but
Yeah.
if you don't feel that you like it, or you don't feel that it's paying enough, you obviously have the ability now, it sounds like, with that information to kind
And that goes back to this: if there's a ride type, or
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a long pickup,
Yeah.
or a shared ride
Yeah.
that drivers don't like as much,
Yeah.
then clearly we have to pay more for that trip
Yeah.
type in order to get the marketplace outcome that we want. And so
For
again,
sure.
this is where I'm optimistic that incentives can be more closely aligned, and drivers will, the end result will be drivers trusting that we're putting the best opportunities in front of them and that they have choice.
So it sounds like there's a lot of interesting opportunities around basically finding the right trip for the right driver, which I've always, people have always asked me, what's the average driver look like? I'm like, whoa, that's a tough question, because there are a lot of drivers who, some prefer only driving during the days, some prefer only at night. Some drivers I'll talk to, they love the long trips. Other drivers hate the long trips, right? And some like shared. So there's, it's hard to account for all those preferences. So I like the idea of sort of giving drivers that ability to select this or select that, or have more information so they can make those choices. So I guess I'm all for it.
Yeah, awesome.